Hello, Facebook fans and YouTube fans of DX Engineering. It's Tuesday afternoon here in the Eastern Time Zone. It is of the USA. It's 1815 Zulu on January 16th, 2024. This is Tuesdays with DX Engineering. And today we have Andy. And Andy is one of the guys that will answer the phone. And he has been doing that, helping customers here at DX Engineering for how many years?
I've been here 37 years.
37 years. Some of those with Summit Racing, and a lot of those with DX Engineering.
Yes. At
Eh,
least 20 years or 15, 20 years for DX engineering.
Yeah. And so, over that experience of helping customers over that time span is just amazing, Andy. And, um, reading some of the emails that are coming in, there are a lot of guys that just got licensed here for the first time in the last 4 or 6 weeks, things like that. So when a guy calls into you and he says, Andy, he says, I just got my technician license, or maybe I upgraded to general, and I want to get started. What kind of questions do you ask him, Andy?
I usually ask them what their primary interests are, like what they're really interested in. Amateur radio has so many different interests that there's always something for someone. So try to get a feel for what where they're at as far as that comes. Some guys they don't have a radio yet, and some do. Some are just VHF, UHF, not into HF yet. So that kind of helps us narrow down, some product that they may be interested in.
So, what about used equipment, Andy? What do you think about used equipment?
Well, we have open box equipment, but as you know, DX Engineering doesn't sell used equipment. We don't service equipment, so it's hard for us to test things and make sure they work. So we're not the used equipment source, but used equipment can be a bargain for some new hams to get their feet wet, and try things to see what they might like. Some may like VHF, UHF, and never go into HF, and maybe the opposite. So used equipment is a good avenue for getting started, getting your feet wet, if you will.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, it's really helpful to have an Elmer, somebody you can ask about that used equipment, right? Because
Hmm.
if you don't
It
know what you're
is.
buying,
Right. And also the used equipment, you really need to look at it. It's hard to establish whether the equipment's any good over the phone or just by, a video. You need to really touch, feely that type of product.
right, right. Um, and then I know you have some go-to, um, fallback packages and radios that have you've recommended to customers and they've had good luck with them, whether they be Yaesu or Kenwood or ICOM radios, especially in the VHF world, Andy.
Hmm. So you'll find that everyone, just as with vehicles, you'll have Chevy guys, Ford guys, you're going to have Yaesu guys, ICOM guys, so forth, so on, Kenwood. So there's a few radios depending on their interests, and that's what you try to find out is what they're interested in. That like the Yaesu FT991A is all band, all mode, so you can get a guy that's right now VHF, UHF, also has the option later to be HF. There are not many all band, all mode radios that we have at this time. 7100 from ICOM is one, but
Right,
they're harder to get, it seems.
right. So, and maybe you're buying too much radio at the start too. Because there's some guys that start out in the hobby, they get a license, and then they get on the repeaters or they get on 2 meters, and they really don't get exposed to a lot of the things in the hobby, and they can kind of get turned off.
True.
That's why the
That's
Elmer
true.
is so important. But Andy, you've Elmered so many customers over the years.
Yeah, yes, here and I was at Radio Shack for 32 years, so we had a lot of customers come in there in the store that were hams or wanted to be hams, and we'd get to talk to them a little bit about getting started. So it
Yeah.
was.
We're on here today with Andy, KC8YST, the oldest, well, the most experienced longevity sales person that we have on the DX engineering team. And you're likely to bump into Andy at any time when you call into the 800 number, or maybe you get an email from him. I know when I was a customer, you know, and that was almost 11 years ago and before, you were my go-to guy.
Yeah, you're my best clamp customer. It was you.
You know, I would call in the 800 number and I said, I want to talk to Andy. And they would say, well, you know, Pete's available. I said, yeah, I know Pete. Pete's a good guy, but I want Andy. And so we established a good relationship.
What did we do now, Tim?
You know, I liked it so much I came to work for the let's see, Andy, who we have in the chat room here. It's awesome. Young Michael, W3MLJ. Andy, you know what? Michael's down in Zillionople, and I know you know your Pennsylvania geography. Michael's down there, and I think he's either a senior or he might be just out of high school now. And he's going to the Virgin Islands for the DX contest in March.
Wow. Nice.
He and his buddies, you know, young guys all going on a DX expedition down to the Virgin Islands. So that's going to be fun. And our good friend and customer, John, November Juliet 4 Zulu. Hello, Tim and Andy from not so sunny South Carolina. And he says, Andy always does a great job. And I found that to be true. And
I really appreciate it.
And I really can't remember any viewer mail, you know, in the DX engineering mailbag that came through that says, you know, that Andy steered me down the wrong course.
Wow.
So
we try, but
yeah,
we do our best.
It's really good. Richard's on Whiskey Bravo 7 Mike Lima. And thanks, Andy. You helped me a bunch.
You're welcome, Richard.
Another fan in the KC8YST club. We got Paul, Kilo Echo 5 Whiskey Mike Alpha is on. And our friend Andy from the UK, 2 Echo 0 Radio Echo Echo. And Luke is on from France, Fox 5 Radio Alpha Victor, soon to be Tango Yankee 5 Charlie. That's Benin in Benin in Africa. Oh, wow. What a place to go. Wow. And John says, hey, Tim, if you have time to address, what is the story with West Mountain Radio? No rig runners anywhere. Well, you know, it's Andy, I think some of the supply chain thing is still not ironed out.
True. I believe you're right. There's still chip issues and just labor issues too. A lot of not able to get manpower.
Yeah, John, I don't know the exact reason why, but I don't, you know, and I have not looked myself at the rig runner inventory, but I'm sure there's a good reason. West Mountain is such a great company, and we're really happy to have them here at DX Engineering. And let's see, we have Antonio's on, Papa Yankee 2 Bravo November. He's from Brazil. And so good to have you on, Antonio. And also Alexander, I'm sorry, 73 from Germany, Delta Charlie 5, Germany, America. And Richard says, hey, what CAT program is the best for an FT891? You got an answer there, Andy?
I don't on that one. I'd have to do a little research, I'm afraid.
Yeah, you know, I think our man George K3GP might be a good guy. He's right. He's got a lot of Yaesu knowledge. Richard, why don't you either call in and ask for K3GP or send an email to dxengineering@dxengineering.com, and George will answer your question. But we want to make sure we get you the right answer.
Yeah, sometimes we have to do a little research, and it may not be just at the top of our head and we know the answer, but we'll find out. It's the important thing is to get the right answer.
Right,
You know,
right.
if it takes a few minutes or 5 or 10 minutes to get the right answer, it's better than the fast wrong answer. So
Matt says, is Andy really a salesperson or a salesman? Well,
uh,
back in the day, there were salesmen.
right.
Back at Radio Shack, there were salesmen. So I think both apply. Scott's on Kilo Echo 5 Oscar Lima, and our friend Dan from Kentucky, Whiskey Alpha 4 Mike Oscar Mike, is on. And John says they are a great company, just no inventory at all. Need them for the club go boxes. Yeah, that the rig runners are really nice for that.
Yes.
But we'll keep our ears peaked on that. Andy, we got Dave is on, one of the DX Engineering sales and support staff, K Delta Victor. Hey, Tim and Andy. Andy is willing to help. Just another reason why DXE is the best in the business. And we're really glad to have you on, Dave, with us as well.
Yes. Dave's awesome. Helps me. I have questions. He definitely can answer. So
He's got a lot of experience, and that
yes.
has really been good. Northwest Ohio, it's Michael, November 8th, Mike Radio Sierra. And nice to have you on, Mike. That one of the great things about this hobby, Andy, is that you don't have to go outside unless you didn't do your antenna homework.
That's true.
If you did your antenna homework back in the fall, you can just turn on the radio and enjoy the bands, because the DX has been good. The sunspots have been great. 10 meters has been open. So there's a lot of great activity. But if you have to go outside, how about that Scotch 88 tape when it's 5 degrees?
Yeah, the Scotch 88 using over top of the Templex, that stuff gets a little hard in this kind of temperature. So it is not the time to maintenance antennas right now. That is not the time.
I had a friend, KL7 Radio Alpha. He's a silent key now, but he used to live in Fairbanks, and he used to tell stories about tape just cracking, minus 20,
God,
minus 30.
I can only imagine.
That's really tough on that. So I guess here in another week or so, things are going to warm up, but boy, it's pretty tough with
here in Ohio, it's all teens right now.
All
this
teens,
whole week. Yeah. I watched some of the football games, and that football is like a rock in this kind of temperature. I can only imagine.
Well, that's why amateur radio is such a great hobby. You don't have to throw anything around other than some RF off the end,
Right. Keep you warm.
Yeah.
Warm up an amplifier.
Our friend Chuck, K3CWE, is on. I used to talk to Chuck every morning on 80 meters. And Chuck will look forward to seeing you at the Hamfest coming up. Barry is on. Hi, Tim and Andy. And our good friend Mike Murphy, who is another one of the DX Engineering sales and support staff. Mike, we are just so thrilled to have you and Kate DV and all the others on with us. And so you never know, when you call into that 800 number, you might get Andy, you might get Mike, you might get Dave. And so we've got, let's see, Colin is down in Australia, where the sun isn't even up yet. The sun is still down. They have not gone through sunrise yet. And it's tomorrow. So there you go. Well, Andy, thanks for all you do for DX Engineering.
Thank you.
I know I speak for the customers that you've helped over the years. You've just been fabulous. You're very patient, which is really, really important.
It is a virtue in this business, being patient.
Yes, and so we're thrilled that after all these years, you're still doing it. And thanks for all you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. It's nice seeing you and talking to everyone. It's great.
Yeah, and it's good to talk about those antennas in the cold. Let's try and make sure we keep everything working. And if you need help, call us on the 800 number or send us an email. We'll do everything we can to help you have fun with the best hobby in the world. Until next time, 73 from DX Engineering.
70